work and you can hear about what else others are working on. So first of all, this call is for you. And then second of all, of course, this call is for the public to let everyone in on what is going on. And this can be quite a stretch sometimes because everyone is having a different level of technical expertise, but we're doing our best to capture all the information and then translate it. So what we have in mind for today is to change up the format a little bit. We're trying something new. And so the idea we want to follow with today is that we're going to go through the ranks from top to bottom. We give everyone a chance to present what they're doing right now. We are gathering up all the individual stories and see what kind of picture emerges from there, right? So everyone gets a chance to show what they're doing, tell what they're doing. And then at the end, we summarize everything. So if you, fellows, if you have any topic you would like to discuss today, the suggestion for today is just raise it at the point in time when it's your turn. So you can talk about what you're working on. And if you have questions on your mind, or if you want to hop into any discussion, just do it when it's your turn. Yeah, so the agenda for today is basically we're going through the ranks. And if there is no questions so far, then let's jump right to it. And we're beginning with rank 7. We have one member in the fellowship with rank 7, which is Gavin Wood, which is you. So yeah, Gavin, welcome. I understand you're high up in the mountains right now.
That's right. I'm in the Italian Alps, and I'm not sure how good the signal is over here. So, but I don't have too much to say, so I think it'll be fine.
All right. Yeah, I would suggest we jump right into it. You tell us a little bit about what's going on in your line of work, and we take it from there.
Yeah, so I've actually been ill for a week or two. I'm finally on the mend, so not too much has happened. We've released a grey paper revision, just with a few corrections in. Probably the next big thing will be the final release of the 05 series, which signifies initial feature completeness of the Jam protocol. It needs there's sort of one major alteration that needs to be done, which basically is avoiding sending one much as data into the core, the refine function, this heavy compute facility up front, and instead allow for data to be fetched by the logic as and when it needs it. And this is pretty important, mostly so that we can avoid having to allocate a huge amount of memory up front, and instead potentially keep the memory allocation small, which could have a significant effect on gas efficiency. We are expecting that we will want to keep that we'll want to tie gas usage to memory allocation at some point. So keeping that amount of memory needed small is a good plan. After that, it'll be 06 time, which for me will be mostly doing a bit of finesse to the grey paper, letting all the teams get through to their M1 and M2, and maybe starting to look into performance benchmarking, actually test nets on real hardware with at least the Polkadot, the parity jam implementation, but potentially we'll see about the other jam teams, maybe others. The toaster is actually a DAO here who is the hardware, and I'm building the toaster. There's 5 racks at the moment. Okay, so 5 racks, each one hosting 4. I think actually initially each one will host 8 jam nodes. So that's a network, or 12, maybe it's 12. Yeah, I think in stage 1 maybe it's 12. In which case it'll be 48 nodes. No, 60 nodes. I think ultimately we're going to have 85 or 86 machines. So the fact that we only have 5 delivered is It's a small, but apparently this week 30 more are on their way, and the toaster, the place where the toaster lives, under the Polkadot Palace pool, is under heavy construction. It should be finished quite soon. Quite soon. I mean, the ducting's all gone in. It's looking increasingly finished. So I mean, tentative estimate a month. Yeah, tentative estimate a month. And so hopefully by late February, early March, we should be doing some sort of major scale tests of the Jam protocol, hopefully with more than one implementation, but we'll see. On that note, it might be worth also starting to maybe invite some of the other Jam teams to give updates of their Jam implementation, so we can get a feel for how fast the sort of multi-client build out is going. Much else? That's about it. There is some other stuff that I'm working on, like proof of personhood, but again, it's been relatively quiet over the holiday period. Probably got more updates for that next time.
All right, thank you. So, do we have any expectations how warm it is going to get in the pool above the Jam toaster?
So it's actually only going to be heating the jacuzzi part of the pool. This is a relatively small amount of water. So if we, I would have thought the temperature is going to go up or down depending on whether we're running a sort of scale test. But if we're running like a full scale test, then I should have thought it would actually have a fairly substantial heat throughput. It could get uncomfortably warm, but I guess we'll just have to test it out, won't we?
I guess so. Any other members of the fellowship that have any questions for Gavin? All right. Then thank you very much, Gavin. And we're gonna push on. Gavin. So I see that according to the collectives palette, you could claim a salary of $16,666 per month. Are you claiming your salary?
I am not at present claiming a salary now, but yeah, we'll see. Maybe in the future, we'll see.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Gavin. Okay, so we had Gavin Wood with rank number 7. So let's move on to Basty, rank number 6. You are at the moment our only member at rank 6. So could you Hey Basty, how's it going? How's your month been?
My month? I mean, it was okay. It was okay. Yeah, okay. No, yeah, what I'm working on, like, I'm working on these like fast block times on the side. I hate forks now, and I understand why a lot of people hate forks. So forks complicate a lot of stuff. Because like like when you want to build these blocks, you need to decide on which relay chain block you want to build, and yes, you want to put in multiple pair chain blocks into one relay chain block. Yeah, that it gets a little bit heavy and complicated. That's like what I'm doing there. Then on the side, or like on another side, I was doing these remote proxy thing. So like there's the issue, like we already have several people who like claimed, or like there was an OpenGov proposal on the reader chain, and so but they got money because they requested stables, and they got the money on Asset Hub. And if you have like a pure proxy, this proxy is not you cannot replicate it on, or it's not replicatable on Asset Hub. But I mean it is, but people to do that you needed to do like a root proposal, and I mean like so it means you need a lot of dot to start the proposal, so that's not really sustainable to do that. So yeah, I've written there like a small palette that supports like reading the proc, or like provides the functionality that you can give like a proof that the proxy exists on the Wither chain, so we can then use it on Asset Hub. And I mean, like I'd written like a kind of small blog post about it, that my future proposal would be like that, as we have for example, the people chain, which already contains like people information, and like discussable, but I think that proxies could also live there in some way. And so like that we incentivize people to put their proxies there, and then you can use them from like from the people chain or from other chains. There's like there's also an RC from Muralram open to that, which is like about like replicating the proxies, which I think, I mean, it works, and it's also like escape hatch. So for example, if you would add a proxy and you need it like, I don't know, every minute or whatever on Asset Hub, it's probably more like makes sense to replicate it to Asset Hub. But one of the problems I've seen with that is also like you need to have like a trust assumption between these chains. I mean, there's by default, if you want to send messages, it's a kind of same assumption, but it would not work. Like, for example, if you would create like a proxy on hydration, I doubt that we would ever enable, nothing against hydration, but I doubt that we would ever enable that you can replicate the proxy from hydration to Asset Hub, for example. So I think it makes sense that by default we put all the people to the same place, and you want to create a proxy, and like by default the proxy gets created somewhere from where it can be used by everyone. And then like by case, if you need like have more special requirements, you can just move your proxies around or something. That's my work.
So interesting. So did I understand this correct? Your suggestion is that all your proxies should be created in one chain, and then if you want to use it, you can replicate from there to other chains?
Kind of. I mean, like it's yes. I mean, like as I said, like I would only do the replication if it is really needed, because like we have all these chains, and all these chains. I mean, like the idea is that these chains are specialized in a way. Okay, Plaza goes a little bit in a different direction, but I mean, it's still like kind of specialized, and if you need it, you can move it then, for example, to Asset Hub. As I said, for example, if you need to have like a proxy, if you need to use a proxy every minute or whatever, there, I mean, you can do some calculations. How big is the proof you need from the other chain, and how much fees does it cost? And like you can do a calculation. I didn't do it, but you can calculate at which point it is sensible or makes sense to replicate the proxy to a different chain. But so the idea would also be like that we incentivize, like make it extremely cheap, for example, on the people chain, and if you want to have it on different chains, then it is just a little bit more expensive or whatever. You need a little bit more of and in the end, or it's more like first is then probably more like UI thing, for example, multics or like the other multi-sig extensions would like by default create it on like people chain, because like it can be used on Asset Hub, it can be used on hydration, it can be used everywhere. All the people that opt into that, and all the chains that opt into that, and yeah, and then there's somewhere hidden like a expert option of I explicitly want to create my proxy here because I know what I'm doing or something.
All right, interesting. Does any one of the fellows have a question for Basty?
Yeah, it's not so much a question, but like I guess it's not that black and white as, or I don't see it so much as like what Basty said, because like the motivation primarily comes from pure proxies, which are like going to be any proxies by definition. So like, yeah, you can create them in one place, but you don't really have like with, as far as I understand, like your solution, Basty, it lets you use the proxy, but it doesn't let you recreate it in a new place. So like, if you create a pure proxy, you're still stuck with having it in the one place you created it. Like you can't duplicate it somewhere else. And then also like it works for like the any proxies and I think you mapped the non-transfer type across, but like, yeah, if you want like a special, like each chain has its own proxy definition. If you want like more fine-grained privilege, like a staking proxy or a governance proxy, and like, I mean, like the people chain doesn't really have any idea of those, so like you can't really map them directly, but like it kind of solves like the using a pure proxy. But I don't think maybe I need to like re-review it, but I didn't see like when I looked at your PR the other day, like that you could recreate the same proxy.
I mean, as like recreating, like the moment you're accepting like that the proof is correct, you could also just write the data to the chain, and then it's recreated, right? Or like replicated or whatever you want to call it. So the other issue around like the proxy types, that's a correct one, but I mean like it's more than like a have maybe of or like look into it and maybe define like more like proxy type which could be used everywhere, or like make it a little bit more. Oh, yeah, whatever. I mean, I get what you're saying, and yeah.
All right. Any more questions, Basty?
Yeah, so with this IFC that's open for Mocha, and we still go ahead with that. I mean, I see you are saying Basty as kind of parallel to that or orthogonal, like not really getting in the way with it.
Yes, I mean right now it's not replicating anything or like taking. I mean, like I think the replication. I mean, it was at FC because I think it requires some changes to XCM or whatever. I don't remember exactly. So, yeah, it probably bears like a more like a. We could probably have like a more in like the conversation on what do we actually want to achieve with whatever way we go or whatever we do. I mean, like if we do it like first do what I have done, it doesn't close like the door, for example, for the replication, or doesn't close like the door for anything. It's more like it just opens the door to use the proxy, and in the future we could still decide, okay, we want to replicate them or whatever. But which also brings us to the same point of like we should encourage people, for example, that they create it on like on a dedicated chain, because like if they first would create it on hydration and then maybe want to use the same proxy on Asset Hub, the same thing would come up again, and that's something we should try to prevent, because like it's a shitty UX or like user experience if you run into these issues and don't get why you cannot do that.
Yeah. So with proxies, it's one case to have to want to access the same account ID. I mean, it applies to any keyless account. Like, I mean, for multi-sig, it's like the derivation is the same on all chains. I guess that's why it's not an issue. But generally, it's for any keyless account, right? Like also, like maybe I have a misconception, but a contract that comes in over XCM, it gets an account ID derived. Right, like this account ID will then not be accessible on any other chain, of course. So, I mean, yeah. So yeah, it solves it for proxy, but not generally any keyless account, I guess. This RFC.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not like. I mean, the reason why XCM is not allowing that you can just access randomly accounts on the other chain is that some chain could go rogue and just just say, Oliver said it's okay that I access this account, and that's like, but if Oliver doesn't want to do that, then it's like a bad, like that's the reason why XCM doesn't allow that by default. And so, I mean, between the system chains, you can argue, and I think that's a reasonable thing to say, okay, it makes totally sense that that doesn't happen. But any other kind of parachain, no, because like anyone can just spawn up a chain and do something, and that's like they can just open a channel and say I'm Oliver and I want to access his funds and transfer them to me, and yeah, that's what he said to me.
Yeah, I will
Trust
sure
me,
want to
bro.
do that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I see. Then yeah, for the asset hub, I guess for the asset hub migration, I mean, I will mention it later on. Maybe we need to do some hacks to have this like working by then. But yeah, okay, that's good.
All right. Yeah, some very practical problems popping up. Okay. Thank you, Basty. So, Basty, you are rank 6, and similar to Gavin, you would have a salary of $16,666. Are you claiming your salary?
Yes, I can. Yes, I said yes.
Yes. All right. Okay. Thank you. Good.
Do I now get added? Why? What's the reason you're asking that? I mean, you can just look it up on chain.
Yeah, just taking notes.
Okay. Do I get added to some list? Or the
I-
naughty list? Or?
I guess you're already on chain on the list. Good. All right. Okay. So moving on, I see rank 5, which is Andre. Do we have Andre here today? Okay. No, I don't see him. Okay, then moving on to rank 4, and first one I see on rank 4 would be Iain, and we have Iain with us today. So hi, Iain.
Hi. So I'll be brief, but I'm happy to take questions. After some gaps, I think for some time not working directly on the staking codes, I think since last week, I'm back working on the code itself. I'm preparing the staking system of Polkadot to be compatible in the parachain as part of the asset hub migration project. This is with collaboration with, I think, both rank 1, Ankan and Gonzalo, and they have been working on it for a longer time, and I'm now helping them and expect to continue working on this for a couple of, maybe next month as well. So that's the main area I've been working on. Other than that, I've raised this happy news in some other mediums as well, which I want to bring here as well, in the runtime 1.4, which I think we will finalize hopefully in January, or it will be the next release. The migration needed to make nomination pools enable participate in governance is part of the code base, and it would go into the next release after 1.4 for Polkadot as well. So this is something that I know community has been waiting for a long time. Also, shout out to Ankan again. It's mainly his work. I'm just a messenger of the outcome. Yeah, I think that's it from my side.
It is really fantastic news. This is one of the questions that the community has been asking the most, is when do we get the voting and nomination pools? So I think it will be greatly appreciated. And you're saying version 1.4 is when we get it on Kusama, and then if everything goes fine, the next release is going out on Polkadot.
Correct, yes.
All right. Okay, thank you, Iain. Anyone has any questions regarding staking for Iain? Okay. So let me quickly check rank 4. What do we get at rank 4?
Yes, I can now I know the question, so I can actually answer it myself. I have declared myself as a passive member since the beginning, which means my original salary, which would be 10,000 per month, is 5,000, and I'm claiming it most of the time. So I haven't kind of established exactly. I'm a little bit like, undecided on it sometimes myself, but if you look at the history, I think you can see it there. But it's most of the time and always the part-time salary.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Iain. Good. Okay. Let me have a look. Rank 4. We also have Robert Klotzner, Eskimo. Yeah, we have you here. Hi, Robert.
Hey. So, yeah, what I've been working on. I think, yeah, I mean, actually, you gave a good segue. Like 2024, we proved like good performance and decentralized. And what we still want to improve is latency. So this is what I'm looking into right now. I'm looking particularly into low latency parachains and also low latency messaging. So these are two kind of intertwined topics I'm looking into. In particular, also Basty gave a good segue here. Forks are annoying because they kind of mess with low latency. Like I mean, other chains are saying low latency. Low latency is easy if you just trust a random guy on the internet, then it's easy. It becomes much harder if you want to have at least some security guarantees. And this is what I'm looking into right now. Like what can, obviously you cannot get the full relay chain guarantees because, for example, for a block after 0.5 seconds, the relay chain has not yet seen that block. So you cannot get like all the guarantees the relay chain gives you, but I'm looking into whether we can get at least some, whether we can at least derive some security of the relay chain still. So that's something I'm looking into. The other is going hand in hand. If you have fast blocks, you might also want to have fast messaging. Because right now, Polkadot messaging is quite good compared to other trustless solutions. We have latency around, like, if you count everything in, around 18 seconds, which is good, but we can do better. And they also have some ideas how to make this much faster, essentially bringing it down to whatever the block time of the chain is. So if you have 0.5 second blocks, you would have 0.5 second latency with messaging. So yeah, that's what I've been up to the last.
Awesome, thank you, Robert. When you say low latency, what do you mean? Like, what latency are you looking at?
The target right now is 0.5 seconds blocks.
0.5 seconds?
Which, yes. So Basty is working here on a solution of actually producing these blocks at that rate. And I'm currently looking into how we can have security guarantees for those still. At least some.
All right. Thank you, Robert.
I mean, like, so can you say something? So, I mean, like, basic security assumption could be that you, I mean, like, you can just have a chain of like, you know, what's last included block on the real chain, then you just have a chain on like from like the last included to like whatever block you're looking at, to know that they're like coming from like the what the relation accepted before. But I think like the point, the more and more I think about latency, it's not really important like actually what the block time is, because the block time just increases security because like it gives you like this kind of because like you can have proof and you can look into it, and then like you can maybe do a chain like check that the block is like a descendant of like one block that was included in the reader chain, but the actual block time is not really important to that. It depends on like what the security assumptions that you want to have.
It depends a bit, but then we're coming more and more to the other conclusion that it actually matters. And like for this particular case, like, yes, you know, it's based on whatever was on the relay chain, but it could just be a fork that never gets submitted, right? So you could be totally fooled, in fact.
For sure, but that's something I think I try to already like sometimes bring over to you is like what kind of level of security do you need? Do I just send around like $1 because or like $2 because I bought a beer? No one will like fake it. And
I'm not like, but this I argue over. Like the point is, right? I mean, Bitcoin has protection because doing a fork is fucking expensive, but doing a parachain fork is free, entirely free.
It's not free. I mean, like you still need to produce a block and whatever. It's like
yeah,
for $2 faking like for $2 attacking like one merchant which like sells you one Coke or one beer or whatever. I don't think so. I mean, like another example could be like you have a decentralized and you want to have a like button or whatever, and you press like or whatever. That's again something like if you press it, it's like
there are certain
you maybe want to count up the numbers and show like, but it's like you send it up and like you don't really care when it is applied.
Okay, multiple instances. First of all,
there are tons.
First
like
of all, even if you trust the UIs to like limit these trust assumptions to like really low value transfers, which is an assumption, first of all, you could, depending on the application, trick a lot of users and make actually quite a lot of revenue. Like for a single one of them, it's just a bit, but if you do 1,000 transactions per second, you could still make quite some profit. That's one thing. And the other thing is, if we manage to improve security assumptions, then actually the usefulness of this low latency increases, because then you might use it for a bit more valued transactions, for example. So even if you say, okay, they like, I don't care, sure, but then you can only use it for likes, right?
Yeah, I'm not saying like I think it's fine to improve it on whatever. That's not the point, and I think that's a reasonable way to do it. It's more, yeah. If, as I said, like if you, for example, if I'm buying a house and I need to send like 1 million, I for sure wait until the fucking relation says it's like finalized, and not
And
like
this is
say,
what
hey,
you
the
should do.
collector said it's
Yes.
like in a block and it's like best thing ever. Yeah,
Yes.
for sure it's approved. And so like that's like the and I mean like even today, like if you look into the world and like see these merchant interfaces of like you want to buy something, and like if it is not Amazon or Google or whatever, sometimes it just takes a moment. And I think this moment is where they ensure that like the stuff is really working. So, and I think that, yeah, I think it's here we need to change the way of like it's for sure we need to provide the bidding grounds, but we need to look into what are like the what is the actual product someone is building, and what can we offer them to make it more secure, or like what do they actually need? As I said, like if someone
Absolutely.
just wants to send likes or whatever, then just do it. And like when finality comes in, show the correct number, and up to that point, just assume that it's correct. And so yeah.
Yeah. So yes, in a sense, yes. Like it definitely comes in phases anyways, and just like pondering a look what's even possible. And then we see like what's doable and what's doable soon. And yeah.
All right, very interesting discussion. Okay, any more questions, Robert? No, thank you. Robert, quick question. What's your salary is like would be 10,000? Are you claiming it?
Yes.
All right. Okay, thank you. Good. Moving on. I see 2 more people on rank 4. Not sure we have them on the call today. Sorry, my setup today is a little bit split. I see Tomaka and Brian Chen, I guess. Okay. Then we move on to rank number 3. And I guess we have a few people here. So first one on my list I see is Oliver. Oliver, I think I saw you today. No?
Yeah, hi.
Ah, yeah.
Or maybe we start with the new rank 3s. I don't know.
I'm open.
Can also Adrian maybe?
Any rank 3 is welcome. I'm gonna name all the names today. Let's start with you, Oliver.
Okay, well, Adrian doesn't want. Good. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm working on setup migration. Also, I'm wearing this Polkadot fellowship sweater. Very lovely. Yeah. Not sure if you can read it.
Very nice. Very nice.
Merge. Yeah. So I'm doing setup migration mostly currently, or yeah, rather exclusively. Yeah, migrating pallets and yeah, helping with the testing setup. Yeah, that's really mostly what I'm doing. Otherwise, on the side, like on our Jam implementation. Oh yeah, I don't have a code for the merge, but yeah. Otherwise, I'm working on Jam implementation on the side. We are like our Jam our M1 is like kind of fine. I mean, we aren't really at the same level everywhere with the gray paper. So some stuff is on older versions, some on newer. Basty, I would never scam you. Yeah, and I'm currently doing some networking implementation in our Jam node, but it's a bit of a struggle with the library that we're using. Yeah. Anyway, there was some Jam implementers call last week where they reported like progress, Gav, if you're interested in it. I think it's on Twitter as well, like where each team could report a bit how far they are. Yeah, otherwise topics that I wanted to discuss. Yeah, so maybe it's boring or whatever, but we have our Polkadot SDK umbrella crate, and it has like it has like a name. It's called like stable something, like stable 2412. And then in the node we still have some kind of number version, and we also have this Semver number version in our umbrella crates, like in the source code. And the issue is that ecosystem members want to build on this umbrella crate on top of it, and they kind of want to have a versioning scheme that kind of works together, that they can signal that they're on this version. Like, let's assume Polkadot would just have major versions like 1, 2, 3, then they could just also align with that to then signal that they're compatible with something and still do like minor patches. So I'm not sure what we do here. Like we are currently, I think, on 117 or something, but like it's not a proper Semver version, and ecosystem people can't really use 117 for them either because it's still not a proper Semver version. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe it was a bit of a ramble, or maybe someone has comments. Yeah.
I think my problem is that like the system, I'm not like, for example, does create.io supports something which is not like a Semver version.
And so I think they support like digit or like number, and then you can have like a dash or something and then write anything you want behind that. But I think it needs to be 3 numbers initially.
Yeah, but also like, how does the resolving then works if you, I think patch version. I think I'm not sure how they interpret the dash, but it's probably like also like.
Yeah, they ignore the dash. If you put a dash, then it doesn't work anymore. Basically, you break Semver if you put dash. So it only works if you really have numbers in there.
But then how does the cargo compiling work?
So currently we have like a pretty random number for our Polkadot SDK crate. I think it's like 0.9 or something. Like, it makes no sense. And now it's the question, like, what do we use? Do we use like 117, or do we, like, if we use 117 and then the next version is 118, like, it doesn't really make sense because it's just a minor increment. Also, it's a breaking change. But I don't know.
Shouldn't you be able to use plus instead of minus if you want to indicate that it's in a like, my understanding is minus is everything before the version, and then plus is everything that, like, sort of like a patch release. Would this be a solution?
I mean, I'm not sure if we maybe have to hack something like this, but as soon as if you put a plus, then the cargo version resolution doesn't work anymore. I think it only works for numbers. I originally hoped that Iain would be here from Hyperbridge, but he isn't. He raised this issue for himself. Yeah.
I mean, I think what he wants, especially, is that he can use like crates easily and know which version to use for like stable release something, which I think is reasonable. But like in the end, it's complicated. I mean, it would be, the nicest thing would be like you can write stable 2024 12 or whatever, and then like you could do it that way, for example. I mean, like, it's like, I think we should not, in general, we should not overthink that, because like if you look around what other people are doing, like, for example, I don't know, like, what's the Linux kernel, it's like probably also kind of random, and like I don't know, also Chrome and Firefox, they were using like something minor, and now I think they're just bumping always the major versions, and we could just bump always major version, and then like
Okay.
But I mean, but even for that, I think this number is probably mainly for like if they use the umbrella crate, then it should download all the other dependencies correctly. So it could also be like, maybe we just, I think in general we probably just need to version the umbrella crate correctly, and then you could just write, like, if you need to have like any other dependency, which is like referenced by the umbrella crate, and for whatever reason it's not exposed by that, you could probably just write a star, and then it should select based on the the algorithm should select based on the umbrella crate, the correct crate version. You know what I mean? It's like you have, like, for example, the SPIO crate, which is like totally deep in the stack, but it's maybe not exposed by the frame umbrella crate, for example. And but you need it, then you just write SPIO equals star, and then like the algorithm should do it based on because it's somewhere deep in the stack of the umbrella crate, and then choose that one.
Yeah, I guess that would help. Yeah. Then when we still need to make somehow clear what version of the what version of the umbrella crate correlates to what release. But yeah, I mean, like 1.17 is like, I know that what version it is, but it's like kind of a bit random.
But then do what you propose, or just call it like it can be like like, is it an integer or is it like a U60 or whatever? But just call it 2024-12. That's like the major version, and then like 0.0, and then we can do minor versions, and like why not? And then we can have like if we do then some changes to the stable, like if we have like a patch release of the stable, then we can bump a minor or like or the patch version, and I mean, why not? And it brings over the version, and like, yeah, I think we should not overthink it, and like do like the easiest solution. And I think like just taking this number, which maybe looks hilarious, but I mean, like, as long as it makes it easy to use.
Yeah, okay. I will put all the suggestions in chat, or maybe in the issue then. But yeah, I mean, it would definitely keep it simple. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe drop it in the fellowship chat and then check the responses. Iain, is it on the topic of December?
Yeah, I had a question about it. So I also agree that for now, I think just having the umbrella crate have a version that is aligned with rest of Polkadot SDK and not be like, I think right now it's just stuck at 0.9 something because we haven't decided yet, and not overcomplicating is good. I had a question for Oliver that for me at some point it was important for some, I don't remember why, to be able to associate exactly a version number, like 1.16 to which stable release of Polkadot SDK it is associated with. And at some point, I actually suggested that we should update all readmes to have like this attached to them or something like that. But I wonder actually, why do people care about this? Or what is like end of the day, if the scenario is that someone is just using the umbrella crate, they only care about that version, that number that is unassociated with the release, like 1.17, 1.19, or whatever. Like, why would they want to know if it was associated with 2024 September, for example?
Yeah, I think we're just not very clear on the messaging currently because we still have both. We still have the version number in the Polkadot binary. So the validators, the number that they care about is this 1.17 kind of thing. And yeah, for the validators, they're like, oh, I'm on 1.17. What version is this? So I'm not sure if it's, I think it's more from node operators, not from runtime devs.
But for them, we can do like this. Like for them, we can solve it easily. As I said, like, because like we already include like the hash, for example, of the commit in the version number that's being printed. And then what it means, we just add another dash and then stable whatever. So like you have actually three versions. There's like these whatever like kind of Semver versioning that they use for like for packages and whatever. Then there's a commit, and then there's like which stable that is associated to. And then you can just fetch it out of the version what stable they're using.
Okay, yeah, that's good. I mean, if I can just put dash in there, then that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, it just is doing. You can put everything in there.
Okay, thanks.
In German, we say eine schwere Geburt.
Yeah. Heavy topic.
All right. Okay. I guess we are through the semantic organizing discussion. Also, thank you, Oliver, for the update on Asset Hub and Jam. Last question. Your salary would be around $6,000, $6,666.
Yeah.
Are you
The cursed number. Yeah. I'm claiming, but I'm not a lawyer, so make of this what you will.
All right. Thank you, Oliver. And with that, I would like to move on to Joe. Yes, Joe, we have you on the call today. Hey, Joe, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi.
Hey.
I don't have a fellowship sweater, but I do have some Polkadot skis back there.
Sorry, I didn't get that. You have.
I said I don't have a fellowship sweater, but I have some Polkadot skis.
Okay. All right. So, any news from you this cycle?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can also like play Messenger a bit. Although I see like Iain and Donal, somebody else here. Yeah, they're both here. So they can probably talk more about like the Asset Hub stuff or like the migration efforts. But yeah, like I can talk about like the facade and contracts projects. So like, yeah, we're making like pretty good progress on both. On the contract sides, I think like last week they got the Solidity compiler working in the browser. So should enable some like nice deploy to Polkadot UIs. And then like I've been working with Nico at Velocity Labs a bit about just like, yeah, we want like, all the requirements for like Etherscan, oracles, the graph, like, there's like a laundry list of stuff there. So trying to make sure that like we have everything set up when we launch, that like all of these things that we want to deploy, we'll be able to. And then like, yeah, some other testing, like there are all these libraries like Matter Labs and Open Zeppelin have these like libraries of contracts or Solidity contracts. So we've been testing the Solidity compiler to make sure that like they can compile all those contracts and they behave kind of like the way that we expect them to, compatible with how they would work on Ethereum. So yeah, that's mostly that on the contract stuff. And then like for this facade project, yeah, still a little bit like early in like the specification phase, but yeah, working on like I guess just like the project plan and timeline and everything like that. So it might like the facade thing might be like a little bit delayed, but yeah, starting to get like work a little bit more in earnest on that.
All right. Yeah, I saw a link being handed around. It was like something like contracts.polkadot.com or something, or parity, something like this, right?
Think.polkadot.
Yeah. Got it. Okay. Any questions that someone has for Joe?
Just a heads up, if you go to this website, like I know like on West End, like we're changing a lot of stuff. So like this will kind of guide you to deploy some contracts on West End, but like we're constantly updating like the Pilot Revive that's deployed on West End and the Solidity to PVM compiler. So like, yeah, I don't think we've like announced it like so publicly or anything. It's like more for people who are really tinkering. So like no promises at the moment, but like if you land there when the versions between the compiler and the PVM that's in the runtime are in sync, then it should all work. But like, yeah, expect a little bit of like experimentation.
It's more like Kusama grade contracts at the moment.
Yeah, it's Kusama grade contract.
Yes. Right. Got it. Okay. While you were talking, I saw a question coming in. It's maybe not for you, Joe, maybe it's for Oliver here. So there was a question coming in. When can we expect the next release for, I guess, 1.14?
I think Basty created the 1.4 issue. Not sure if there's a date attached to it, but there's a lot of stuff in there.
Okay, so sort of crossing off. Who's release managing this version?
I mean, there's an issue with a list of other issues in there. I'm not sure if someone, or maybe Adrian is managing it.
Not necessarily managing it, but yes, softly pushing people for reviews and crossing off the final T's and dotting the final I so we can actually get it released.
All right, got it.
There's many people that are depending on this or like keen to have it sooner rather than later. So I really hope we can get it in the next weeks. I really hope we can get it before end of January.
Yeah, end of January should be like the target for that one.
I mean, this is the official information I got from Twitter, so this is.
Yeah, Twitter is the official channel.
Okay.
Twitter doesn't exist anymore, so I mean, like it's quite odd information you have. So.
All right. Thanks. Got it. Okay, got it. Okay. Okay, Joe, thanks for reporting on the contracts and the facade. I think people were asking, are we still expecting the contracts to launch? I believe this was on West. No, what was the release cycle? Sort of Q1 West End and then Q2 Kusama?
I mean, it's already on West End, or it was like in December, although maybe not publicly. So yeah, like I think it's still Q2 on Kusama and Q3 on Polkadot.
Cool, we're still on track. Very good. All right, thank you, Joe. Good. Your salary would also be 6,000. Are you claiming it?
Yes.
All right. Good. Then let's move on to the next rank 3 member in the fellowship, which is Andre.
Hi. So I don't have any impressive swag, so I just have this like Polkadot power bank. I guess this is enough. Did I pass? Okay. So right now, my main focus is launching elastic scaling. So I'm planning and coordinating work, reviewing PRs, audit findings, working with Jacob from SR Labs, and also doing some testing. So the current status is that it's on the West End testnet, and the audit has been completed. So you should expect it to be launched on Polkadot in Q2 as soon as the March stable release of the node happens. But it will be sooner on Kusama, particularly for more spamming. And what else? In the past days, I've been focusing on doing end-to-end testing on West End. So what I did, I basically enabled RFC 103 on this testnet, and I was quite happy to see that things work nicely for all of the parachains running there. So parachains continue to produce blocks and use the new V2 candidate descriptors. So for my testing, I decided to take the parachain that we've been using for the spamming, like the one that we've been running the STPS transaction generator on. So I tested the upgrade from 6-second blocks to 2-second blocks. It worked. And then we switched to using multiple collators. So with 3 collators, we got to see 2-second block times. And I did a few low TPS tests to see how, like, if it's still like stable, and it was. What's left to do is do some long duration testing. I think some like 1 week would be enough. And also trying some higher TPS to see like how good are we with like 3 collators. And I'm saying this because there's like we're submitting transactions to some particular collator for RPC node, and then it takes a while for the transactions to propagate. So this like relies on the new fork-aware transaction pool. I'll have to kind of see what we can get. Yeah, this is all on the testing. Now there are a few steps left to kind of do before we launch. So we still need the 1.4.0 fellowship release. And then we need the slot-based collator and the new and the patch for like a node release, which will ship the claim queue-based asynchronous backing parameters. So it's strictly required for Polkadot. In the meantime, I've been doing some other things worthy of mentioning, which is like a deprecation of a runtime API, which was introduced back in the day with asynchronous backing. It's called backing state, and it returns 2 things: candidate pending availability and a set of constraints for backing. So we already had an API, a separate API for returning the candidates. So I created a new API and for doing the constraints on pending availability, deprecating the old one, which returned both of the things. And lastly, I have started to look at improving our test harness for like the parachain consensus subsystems. We have quite a bunch of those, close to 30, I think. So like the goal here is to increase the development velocity by making tests easier to write and maintain. So right now, like all of the traffic between the subsystems has to be coded manually in the test. So once you change something, all of the tests break, so you have to rewrite and reorder those messages. So I'm attempting to fix this, and we as developers which work on that code base should have an easier time and a faster velocity for shipping things and fixing things. Yeah, I guess this is it. Any
All right.
questions?
Yeah, any questions for Andre? Yeah, I see it's really impressive building on ASIC backing, getting everything together, testing on the network. Pretty impressive. All right, thank you, Andre. Your salary, are you claiming it?
Yes, I am claiming it, and it's like 6.666. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Good. I see that next one on our list for today would be Daniel Olano.
I think you skipped me, Tommy.
Good. Then
let me go as well.
all right, go ahead.
I was just promoted to rank 3, so I wanna play with the rank 3 people.
Congratulations.
So lately, mostly focusing on coordinating the XCMV5 upgrade and the release. Actually, the integration in the fellowship runtimes rather than the release. So it's been released in the SDK. We've enacted it on chain on the West End and been testing on West End. The security audit is in progress, nearing its date of completion with no tickets open, so no findings, I'm guessing and hoping. So it will finish very soon, the audit, and then we are green to actually start integrating it with the fellowship runtimes, and that means bumping towards the next SDK stable release, which will be 24.12, which will bring many other things as well, but yeah, I'm mostly interested in this XCMV5. And other than this, I went back to a bit of coding and finished a piece of work called arbitrary origin aliases for XCM. It's basically very similar or tangential to something we discussed earlier, the ability to alias or use some account ID over XCM to control the equivalent key account or maybe some other account on some other chain. And this, to quickly make you understand, basically the example Basty said, Oliver wants to use his key on just Asset Hub, but control his account on Hydration and Moonbeam at the same time over XCM, not necessarily go to these other chains and sign transactions there. So currently now when you are going with XCM to other places, you get derived accounts. So it's not the same account, and this is for security reasons that were outlined before. But with this new feature, there is a possibility for people or accounts, keyless or keyed, doesn't really matter, can opt in to explicitly authorize certain other locations or certain other basically accounts is more specific. Other locations is more generic, can be basically anything. To allow them, explicitly authorize them to alias into the account that's doing the authorization. So to make it clear, I can go on Hydration with my account, with my private key, and say to Hydration, please authorize this other account that I also control, or maybe Basty controls, and I want to give him control over it to make the good investments in my name. And basically, you sign that, and that allows basically all the machinery that I added will allow further XCMs to be able to alias into from the authorized account into the one that made the explicit authorization. This mechanism also has some optional expiry mechanism, so you can authorize it for maybe a number of blocks, not forever. Optionally, maybe you can do it forever as well. And I also work to add all the runtime APIs and some nice tooling kind of interfaces to be able to, see or quickly interrogate chains on which aliases are like explicitly authorized and how and all the details. Yeah, and that's mostly it. I've been also helping some new joiners or some new contributors to the Polkadot ecosystem on their work on Polkadot ecosystem tests. It's that repo created with a bounty by Brian Wakala, where we have just ecosystem level tests that anybody can add regression tests mostly to them, and be able and make sure that their business use cases are still working after or before, or they would still be working after runtime update, and we catch if they break before doing the runtime update. Yeah, but it's still we are still very poor on tests, so I'll use this opportunity as a call to arms for anyone in the ecosystem to contribute, add some tests there, help the ecosystem, help yourself, by making sure your business use case or your interests are will continue working in the foreseeable future. And that's it. Yeah, I am also fresh rank 3, eligible for 6666 USD, and was very happy to claim the first salary.
Awesome, thank you, Adrian. I see that we have 2 guys raising their hands, Oliver and Basty. Oliver.
Okay, yeah, short question from me. This change with the authorized alias doesn't need a new XCM version, or it's just in the palette XCM?
It's just in palette XCM. It doesn't need any new version. But it is a breaking change from the point of view of the configuration of palette XCM. So I can't really bring it as a patch release over some existing stable. It will just have to go into the next stable, which is 2403 March.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, I have also a question to that. Does it mean, so for example, I could then whitelist one special contract to act in behalf of? Okay.
Yeah. But it's one maybe something that's worth specifying for everybody else. I'm sure you know this, or maybe make sure I understand it correctly as well. Is the difference between that and the proxy palette that you made for extending the proxy or mirroring the proxy, is that this mechanism allows someone else to act over XCM through their account, or control some remote account through over XCM from another chain. But you cannot control it locally. You still have to go through XCM from the original, from wherever the location was authorized.
Yeah. Why I ask you that is probably more with the feature of, for example, having the possibility to schedule contracts on Asset Hub so that they get executed automatically. I can write. I mean, if you do it marketing wise, you have an AI bot running on Asset Hub on chain, and then but in a more normal way, you could probably say that you could write a smart contract that every day sells half of the staking reward so that you can pay your taxes or something on hydration, for example.
Yep. Yeah, you can do that. You'll be able to do that once we get it in.
So do I understand correctly? There could be a smart contract that has a valid account on all the different chains and basically could act on all those chains as this one single smart contract.
Yeah, I mean, it could do that still today, but this different chains, it has a derived account that it's kind of hard-coded. It's derived from its relative location. But now with this support, you can also explicitly give it, like allow it, give it access, or authorize it to act as other like arbitrary accounts, right? But the arbitrary account, which is like allowing itself to be controlled, has to explicitly authorize who can control me, right? Who can do stuff in my name.
So I can allow it to basically take control of a certain account and opt into approving that. So I could also allow it to have a certain proxy. So for example, I can have a voting proxy and then give a smart contract the ability to use the voting proxy.
Yep.
Pretty cool. All right. Any more questions for Adrian? No. Good. Thank you, Adrian. Yeah, then let's move on. I think we have everything covered that has rank 3, so we can move on to rank 2. And the first person we have here would be Sebastian Kunert.
Yes.
Right.
I'm working. Hey. Yeah, I'm working on the last touches to stabilize elastic scaling. Like it will go live on Polkadot later this quarter, I think, and we need the Cumulus side to be ready too. So last year I implemented this slot-based collator that is going to be used to have these lower block times. And it works reasonably well, like it has been used in the spamming and all. But for it to be stable, I wanted to have some additional fixes in there. Yeah, one of them is that we want to produce multiple blocks in the same slot. Currently, you need your parachain to adjust the slot times to 2 seconds to make it work. And yeah, in the future, you can have a bit more flexibility. And also there's some technical debt that has like accumulated there over the years. Like we have multiple collator implementations and all of this stuff needs to be consolidated a bit. Yeah, and also some parachain internals, like the parachain system palette that we had, it was still making some assumptions that were no longer true, like assumptions from the asynchronous backing period. Yeah, and this is also fixed so that the slot-based collator can basically be stable for the next Polkadot SDK release. Yeah, this is basically what I'm mostly doing. And I think I can also share some stuff from the Node SDK team. There is the light peer-to-peer, which is currently making good progress. I think we have around 100 validators on Kusama that are currently using it. So yeah, this launch, it has brought to daylight some bugs, not all light peer-to-peer related. Some also surfaced because of the interaction between the light peer-to-peer using nodes and the lit peer-to-peer using nodes. But yeah, this stuff is getting fixed as we speak. And yeah, main benefit that we are seeing is that resource consumption with light peer-to-peer is a lot less. So I think up to 50% less CPU usage or something. But from the speed, I think it's mixed depending on the use case. Sometimes lit peer-to-peer is a bit faster. In some areas, light peer-to-peer is a bit faster. But yeah, I think this might get fixed in the future. We have seen huge speed ups in the recent months in light peer-to-peer. So I am optimistic on this one. And the last thing I think is the fork-aware transaction pool that is also making really good progress. Like Michael has been working on this, I think for, yeah, maybe 9 months or something. And it's looking really good. It's very well tested and it's also looking quite stable. Iain from my team has joined him on this effort. And yeah, I think we have some issues that need to be resolved. Currently, it's hidden behind an extra flag. But as soon as the important issues are resolved, we will start to annoy people to try it out. And I think later this year, I don't know if it will be in the next release or the one after, we will replace the old transaction pool implementation with a new one. Yeah, and I think that's it.
All right, thank you, Sebastian. Is there any questions for Sebastian? No. Good. So then, Sebastian, are you? I think rank 2 has a salary of 1,600 per month. Are you claiming it?
Most months, yes. Not
Most-
every month. I think I skipped some, but most months I claim it.
All right. Thank you, Sebastian. Good. I think we're done. No, there should be Pablo. You rank 2.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Tommy. All right. So, I've been working mainly on 4-5 areas of interest on this first year in the fellowship. First of all, assets. Actually, my main area of expertise, 2-ish years working with it. What I got good at on the PBA, and I noticed starting on the fellowship that although there's a full support for native tokens on every use case you can imagine, there's an incomplete or sometimes lack of support for these use cases on assets. So I've been working on completing them, assets holding, and because it goes to support other cases like testing for assets, assets freezing, supports testing for assets or assets holding, which allows use cases like staking, intelligent payments, and likes. And recently, I've been working, getting familiar on assets conversion because there are some specific cases that are useful to be supported and improved on the assets conversion part. Also, I tackled. I kept on with the work proposed by Danny on the park governance, the iterable tracks. I've been working on that as well. Then collectives. I have an open RFC that's still waiting to receive a bit more feedback, just a bit more feedback, before I be able to move on with it and make modifications and start working on the actual code, although there's some actual code on the collective part. And finally, XCM bridges. And this is one of my areas of interest. I want to expand throughout the end of this first year. I've been getting familiar with it, mostly through helping with the upgrades and the runtimes. And I'm expecting to be more involved on it in the future as well. And finally, maintenance. Last quarter, I helped or I contribute to implement the stable 2409 into the runtimes. Really interesting proof of teamwork that was that. And yeah, mainly that. There are a couple of things I've been working on apart from these areas of interest, but mostly it's that. I know it's a lot for a person in a year, but it's my first year, so it's part of the learning process, part of getting to know more domains in the ecosystem. So it's been a pretty interesting first year.
All right. So I understand correctly. You work at Parity.
I don't.
Oh no, then I misheard it. I apologize. Okay, but so you got quite around. You saw quite a bit of the code base, right? What's your favorite part?
Whoa. I think definitely the technology and the challenges. I think this has been a really exciting journey to me. I always like the challenges, and definitely here there are some really interesting challenges. So yeah.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Pablo. Is it right you rank 1 at the moment, right?
Yes.
All right. Okay. So rank ones are getting $833 per month as a salary. Are you claiming it?
Happily claiming them. A humble salary for a humble member, but I'm happy to it.
I would say it's a good starting point, and a little bit of an incentive to keep going. All right. Okay. So next one, I believe Donal is on our call, right?
Yep. Hey.
Hey, man.
How's it going?
Yeah, pretty good. How about you?
Yeah, good. Yeah, so recently I've been working on the Asset Hub migration. And yeah, I think everybody else has already mentioned it. So one of the drawbacks of being in rank 1 is I get the last say. But yeah, no, it's been going pretty well. A few blockers, but a few things going faster than we expected. So I wanted to use the call as well to say if any fellowship members outside of Parity want to get involved, there are small PRs to pick up if anybody's interested. And anything to do with testing, or if anybody wants to just find out more. We're trying to be a bit more public about it now. It's getting more mature. So yeah, I've been working on this Asset Hub Next runtime, so like the future state of Asset Hub, which can be we're going to deploy on West End in the next couple of weeks, and that can be a target for people to test their dApps or wallets or whatever against the palettes, like the staking, governance, all of the different balances palettes that are going to be moved over to Asset Hub as part of the migration. And then what else have I been up to? There's also been some movement with core time. I've been mentoring a few people, adding like pseudo apps to the core time palette, something that we definitely needed. Like I think it's like every week or two I get a request from somebody to put together some calls to like manage something on a testnet, whether it's either Paseo or West End, just like bumping people or giving somebody a core last minute or fixing some state, mostly for testnets. But I think it'll be useful. These things will be useful for the production systems as well. I think just kind of managing, like for instance, at the minute, if you wanted to reserve a pool core, it wouldn't kick in for another 2 months after the referendum passed. So just a kind of getting some things that if you have pseudo, then you can just say, okay, add a new core and immediately make it a pool core, that kind of stuff. So just working on that, and yeah, I'll keep it short. Those are the two main areas of involvement. And while I was seeing everybody else using their showing their Polkadot swag, I was looking about my room, and I thought this would be the most unique one. It's the proof of taste chocolate that was in the just like Polkadot proof of taste. Just the packet because I ate the chocolate, which is really nice. But it was like 2 different flavors from the decoded speakers room last year.
Very nice, very nice. I like this show off today. Good. So Donal, you're basically the core time guy. If someone needs to trade core time, they come to you and ask the spicy questions.
I want to try to decouple myself from that because I think it just highlights a few shortcomings in the tooling. So like it's all kind of privileged operations. So we saw in one of the referenda where there was no clean way to just drop or like implement a base price, which I spoke about it on a previous call. I didn't really agree with that as a fix to the problem, but it should be something that governance can do, is like reset the price. And then there were a few other things that I just spec'd out in an issue, that like things that people ask, adding things to the work plan, removing things from the work plan, force assigning a core straight away, or just kind of switching things around a little bit. Last thing where, you know, having core time on a testnet is kind of a little bit contrived because you don't have the same crypto economic conditions to enable people to like on West End, or like say on Paseo, which is probably a better example. You know, Paseo as a token doesn't have any inherent worth or intrinsic worth, but it doesn't even have any perceived worth. So you can just get them Paseo from the faucet and buy some core time and register a core and just like do nothing with it, which doesn't really serve the purpose of the testnet. So then the people who manage the testnet just want to keep these things fresh and keep kicking people off where it's not being used, or adding people on where it needs to be used. So that's the kind of reason for that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, core time is actually very fresh. So, I mean, this is this first year of core time where we're getting all these experiences. But so far, it's coming along nicely. We have 16 cores on Polkadot. All right. Any questions from people to Donal? We don't have questions. Donal, are you claiming a salary of $833?
Yes, I am. I'm claiming it, and then the tax man is claiming the majority of it.
As he always does.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Donal. Okay, so I believe next we have George.
So I've been mostly working on two things: proof of personhood, which I can't talk about a lot, but I can just say, we've been making some steady progress this month after the new year, and I'll hopefully be able to share more soon when we release it. That's the main thing I'm working on, and then I'm also working on something else. A small fix we need to make in the collider selection palette, because as things stand right now, the extrinsic used to register for the permission slots can be used in such a way with the one where you declare to leave your intent of collating, such that you would place your deposit and then you would leave the queue, leave that open spot, and then you re-register with a lower bond at the session boundary, which is not creating any security or any negative externalities, other than the collators have to be really mindful of things that are happening at the session boundary. And this fix would just be like a quality of life improvement for them, I would say. And yeah, with that, I'm trying to find solutions to. There's been a lot of chatter on the system collator chat about competition on the invulnerable slots and the permission slots as well. Many people want to call it, and there's just not enough slots for everyone. So I'm trying to think of a solution there. And aside from this small quality of life fix that I'm planning on pushing soon, I might propose an RFC for this if I have a nice solution to the problem.
All right, got it. Thanks, George. Anyone has any question for George? Nope. All right. Okay. George, as a rank 1 member, are you claiming a salary of $833?
I am, yes.
All right. Okay, thank you, George. Good. So next up is someone unknown with rank 1.
Hey
there.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was working on a couple of things. First of them is a 10 megabyte proofs of validity. So a quick recap, why it is important. So now we have some parachains, let's say parachain with a lot of accounts in its state. And when you have a lot of accounts, you have a large Merkle tree. And when the tree is large, its nodes is far away from each other. And when you pick two, let's say, random accounts, you will get two completely different nodes, and you have to make a large storage proof. Our current 5 megabyte POV size limit would become a bottleneck for such parachains in near future. And basically, this change is very simple by itself. It's changing just one value. But it required a lot of effort to figure out which new value is suitable, which is optimal, and which is safe. A lot of testing, and it was a whole team effort, and I want to thank everyone who participated. And finally, yes, I wanted to tell you that PR is good to go, but indeed, while we spoke, Basty merged it. So yeah, it is definitely going into the next release. And the second thing I'm working on is Polka-VM integration for the parachain on times. So we want parachain on times to be able to have Polka-VM as a compilation and execution target as much as WASM right now. So as far as I know, initially that wasn't planned before Jam, but when we started to see how much we could benefit from that integration, for example, it could allow us to significantly decrease the parachain deposit and allow for deterministic gas metering and everything. So I decided to try, just to create a proof of concept. I did that. And right now it's still in a very early stage and has a long way to go, but nevertheless it's fully working. And what is important, it works in parallel with WASM, so you can have WASM parachains and Polka-VM parachains at the same time connected to the same relay chain, and they work with each other. They can even interoperate using HRMP or whatever. So yeah, I'm working on that POC, pushing it to the production stage, but no timeline promises as of now, as I have a lot of stuff on my hands. Yeah, I think that's it from my side.
All right, pretty impressive. Anyone has any question for someone unknown? Good. Thank you. Someone unknown, are you claiming your salary for the rank 1 of $833?
Yes, I do, and I decided while I'm rank 1, I will exclusively spend it for productivity tools. And my last buy, of course, was more memory. I now have 192 gigabytes, and my motherboard can't stand anymore.
Wow. Okay. It's pretty nice. I was recently working on my own RAM. I removed it from my computer. Now my computer is not working. This is why we are having a call on my notebook. And I thought today. Yeah, but sounds pretty good. Sounds pretty good. What I can suggest as a productivity software tool is Motion AI. I use it Motion, not Notion, Motion, and it's like an AI calendar assistant. But yeah, I think this is a good spend for your fellowship salary. Thank you, someone unknown. And 20. Yeah, I think I'm not sure if I have an affiliate link. Anyways, moving on. Okay, I see 2 more people on our list for today. The first one would be Alina. And I'm not sure about your rank, so maybe if you could state it.
Yeah, hello.
Hey.
Yeah, I'm rank 1.
Okay, perfect.
My name is Iain. I'm not sure if you...
Iain. Oh,
okay.
Okay, Iain. Hey.
Yeah, so yeah, I've been on this meeting for a while, but I haven't spoken before here. So yeah, my main focus for the last month has been elastic scaling. For the past month, did some bug fixes. Also worked on the guide updates that need to happen in order for parachain teams to be able to use elastic scaling with the new RFC 103 we have implemented, basically allowing them to have untrusted collators in a set. And I also tested and fixed 12-core elastic scaling, which is another way of getting 500 millisecond blocks that should be working. It's pretty wasteful if you're only doing this for latency. That's why we still want to have like some other way of doing this, what Basty is doing, for example. And I also started the kind of final step before we can enable elastic scaling on Polkadot, which is, I think Andre also mentioned it, removing the async backing parameters, which are static right now, And these are basically like some rate limits for how big the chains of candidates can get from a parachain, and these have been static. So we bumped them on Kusama and Western and all testnets so that they work with elastic scaling, like with up to 3 cores. But we wouldn't want to bump them on Polkadot because they come in effect regardless of how many assignments you have, like how many cores you bought. So yeah, I'm working on adding some dynamic rate limits to this based on how many assignments you have, how many cores you have. Yeah. I've also been coordinating work for a new hire on our team to add a malicious collator, like a malus collator that is submitting the same collation to all the cores it has assigned to it, which is what IRC 103 aims to fix. So this is like the validation test that we indeed did a good job with it. And other than that, yeah, we fixed some flaky zombie test that we had for a while, which took a while. And yeah, that's pretty much it related to elastic scaling. And probably I will start looking more into the collator protocol revamp for the next coming months.
Got it. Thank you. Does anyone have a question for Alan? Good. I have 2 questions actually. Untrusted collators. What is it?
Yeah. So it basically means that you don't have to trust the collators. As it stands right now on Kusama, for example, if you want to use elastic scaling, you need to control all the. I mean, you shouldn't add untrusted collators there because they have like an easy way of messing with your cores, because the cores weren't the candidate validity wasn't tied to a specific core, so you could build one block as a collator and submit it to all 3 backing groups that you have assigned, and they would all back that same candidate. So you would effectively only back 1 candidate instead of 3. And RFC 103 fixes this by tying the core index to the candidates. So like the parachain runtime has the freedom of deciding what core it wants to build the candidate for, kind of, and then the validators, when they validate the block, they check that indeed that's indeed what the core is, basically.
Got it. So basically, a malicious collator could sort of introduce a lag and negate the effects of elastic scaling. I see.
Yep, very much.
And then you mentioned the 12-core elastic scaling. So is it sort of an alternative what Basty was working on, or is it sort of for test purposes, or what's the idea?
I mean, it can be an alternative to what Basty is doing, but it's like just one thing that we haven't tested before with elastic scaling. So with elastic scaling, there isn't really a limit on how many cores you can have assigned. So basically, if you have more cores assigned, you divide the 6-second blocks that you can that is a relay chain slot time. You can divide it into however many cores you have assigned, and then you can build a parachain block every mini slot. So like if you have like 12 cores, you have like mini slots of 0.5 seconds that you can build blocks on, and that we didn't test that beforehand. So I tested it, found a small bug, fixed it, and it's working now. So yeah, well, Robert, you have something to add?
Yeah. It is actually, the idea is actually to have this as a stopgap solution until Basty is ready. Because right now we have an abundance of core space on Polkadot and Kusama anyways. So if chains really want 0.5 seconds sooner than Basty has it ready, they could try to do it already with elastic scaling. That's the idea. Basically using not elastic scaling to get the throughput, but to get quicker blocks only.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Good. Adrian, as a rank 1, are you claiming your salary of $833?
Yes, I have been.
All right. Okay, thank you. Good. We have one last person on the call that has not spoken yet, which is Jesse.
Hey, hi everyone. How's it going?
Hey, Jesse. Can hear you.
So,
Can hear you, yes.
yeah, I'll just speak on what I've been working on. I've been here for like 2 weeks. Just go like better. So last year I was trying to automate the fellowship salary. So I'm continuing with that work this January. Hopefully finish the PRs this month. And then I've also been working on the asset hub migrations, the pallets particularly. Yeah, and then next, I think lastly, I've been trying to organize sort of like a study group here, like locally for devs in different like ecosystem, like security devs, app developers. I'm trying to organize like a study group here for people trying to learn more about blockchain, learn more about like Polkadot, like ecosystem, that stuff like that. I have one member who has already like submitted PR, and I like presented that in my like evidence report recently. And one like other member who is also like, contributing like actively. So yeah, those 3 things that's what I've been doing so far. Majorly.
All right. Thank you, Jesse. Anyone having any questions for Jesse? Nope. Okay, I just then, okay, Jesse, you're rank 1, is it right?
Yeah, rank 1.
Right.
Happily rank 1.
Jesse, as a rank 1 member, are you claiming your salary?
Yeah.
All right. Good. Thank you. Thank you, Jesse. And I just saw in chat that I missed Cisco, for which I'm sorry. Cisco, you're also rank 1, right?
Yes.
Hey.
Hello. Yeah, I wanted to give a quick update. I've also been a little bit involved in the testing of XCMP5 on West End, which led us to fix some configuration issues, but also one instruction we changed it a bit. I've been doing some dry run API and XCM payment API improvements and working on some PRs for the 1.4 release. One feature that people have been wanting and is going to be on the next release for the live runtimes is to be able to do a USDT only transfer between one chain and another going through Asset Hub. So that was already fixed on the SDK, but it was not released to the runtimes, so that's going to be there. Then regarding Polkadot merge, I have this PBA cap, which is nice. I've been giving a couple of live lectures for PBAX, which is the online part, the online version of the PBA. I've been working on making some guides, one for how to use DOT as a fee token for parachain teams, another for how to change the DOT reserve from the relay to Asset Hub, which is like a necessary step before the Asset Hub migration. And yeah, that's my update.
All right, thank you, Cisco. Cisco, does anyone have a question for Cisco? I don't see any hands. All right, okay, Cisco, you're also level 1. Are you claiming a salary of $833?
I am not.
All right. Okay, good. So I believe we. Daniel, I see a hand.
Hi. Yeah, I'm no longer rank 1, so I was just gonna kind of maybe goodbye or see you later. but not goodbye really. My focus is Kusama, or at least my non-chaotic vision of Kusama, that I'd like to see. Like, I will be pushing for a vision of Kusama where we see it as the funnel to attract all, like 99% of projects of the ecosystem that should start there. And for this, like, I'm building this Cravo parachain that is kind of like a common good parachain that focuses on DAOs, governance, like providing entrepreneurs basically with everything they need to start working on the ecosystem. And I stopped trying to prove any evidence a while back, since the last in-person meeting, where it was kind of very, there was a strong kind of opposition that the fellowship shouldn't, like, has nothing to do with Kusama, that Kusama is a different thing. So just wishing that in the future we consider more like focusing, like considering Kusama as part of the fellowship. Like, the fellowship has governance powers over there, it has the ownership of Kusama runtimes, and that doesn't quite that like work on Kusama is completely out of scope. And yeah, just saying that I'll be continue working on, like, we have a frame country repo where we will keep pushing stuff that doesn't fit the Polkadot SDK, because sometimes when like Parity doesn't receive palettes from external teams, so we have stuff like for like an enhanced version of the referenda, or like an extension to referenda palette that enables all these dynamic DAO infrastructure, payments, so had a good payment experience, memberships, and something that allows people use NFTs to not have to use tokens to pay for transactions. The pass system, which is going to currently allows people use their passkeys to sign transactions and not need wallets, and later we'll migrate it to transaction extension, so it's even more advanced and integrated. And right now working on an embedded operating system, like, as a fan of embedded programming and WASM. This embedded operating system, we are using it for our own stuff, but can be used for wallets, and looking to, we will use it to add private DAO functionality to our DAOs, to be able to, from the outside, submit proofs to the parachain that something happened, and then, for example, in pilot referenda, be able to increase, like, modify the tally of a referenda like, without knowing who voted on what, and so on. And then another project, another thing that we'll be trying with this embedded operating system is to port to Jam to become a service, one of the also first services that can work on Jam and allow people to develop simple STD applications, like create an abstraction layer that allows people to develop, like, normal looking apps, like no STD apps. So maybe it becomes easier for people coming to the ecosystem developing things that are not very blockchain specific. Yeah, a lot of many more things, but probably that's the gist of it. And so maybe in the future I will be trying to rank up again, but for now maybe that will be it for me.
All right. Thank you, Daniel. Jesse, you have a question for Daniel?
Not really. Like, I forgot to, like, mention one more thing I'm working on. So, like, I reached out to, like, Oliver on the tooling collective and, like, the progress and everything, and I'll be sort of helping out with that aspect to get things going. Like, some PRs to move the like collective, like along. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, Daniel, thank you for also coming, speaking up, explaining the situation. I see that you're outgoing from the fellowship, but I still see that your heart is with Kusama and that you do a lot of interesting things and innovative things. So it's also good to see this happening. And I also find it interesting that you're already thinking about Jam and how you could integrate the service in the future. So yeah, looking forward to see more of your work also coming even outside of the fellowship. Thank you, Daniel. Okay, I would say it's time to wrap everything up. And I'm not sure if Gavin is still with us. Gavin, if you're still with us, I'm just going to summarize everything that we heard in like maybe a minute or two. And then
hello.
This is a signal from Gavin. Right. Okay. Gavin, my idea is I'm going to summarize for a minute or two what we just heard in the last 2 hours, and then maybe you can give us a little bit of your impression of where you see the fellowship going right now, where everything is moving. Okay, let's go. So I'm trying to put it chronologically, but the next upcoming release for Polkadot is 1.4. And one major thing that we're seeing is voting and nomination pools. One of the things that the community has been asking for quite a long time, and it's now coming to Kusama and then shortly to Polkadot. There is a lot of work going on for Polkadot Hub. I heard quite a few members of the fellowship that they are working on Polkadot Hub, Asset Hub. So moving, staking, balances, vesting, all of those things. It's coming to West End soon. And then contracts are coming in Q2 to Kusama, and then on to Polkadot in Q3. And then I see two big other verticals, which is performance and interoperability. On the performance side, I see that a lot of work is going on for elastic scaling, bringing it to Polkadot in Q2. Also working on 0.5 second latency. So lowering latency, having faster blocks. And some interesting discussions popping up regarding forks. And we're also getting PolkaVM, which originally was intended to come with Jam, but it's already coming earlier, which is very interesting. So using PolkaVM as a target for chains. So this is the performance part. And then on the interoperability side, we see that XM version 5 is coming along. Some detailed discussions here that we had, and also pure proxies as a feature where, for example, teams can use their multisig on multiple chains and can use the same multisig on multiple chains. And then a lot of testing going on, and of course, a lot of work on Jam and individuality. So, Gavin, what's your thoughts on the progress right now for Polkadot?
Yeah, I mean, things are pushing forward. I mean, it's been a week or it's been a few weeks since sort of holiday season with where we took a fairly big retrospective over the 2024 and expected what was coming for 2025. So it's like building time now. So yeah, I mean, there's plenty of upcoming stuff that's going to be very interesting to see where they
Awesome, thank you, Gavin. Yeah, I agree. It's building time. There's a lot of exciting things coming this year. Elastic scaling, XM version 5, lots of other things, and then of course we're looking forward to see what's coming up with Jam and individuality. So yeah, I think this was a great first call of the year on the 22nd of January. Looking forward to have more conversations down the line in the upcoming months. And so thank you everyone for coming. Thank you everyone for giving updates, sharing them with the community, giving everyone an opportunity to learn more about what's going on in Polkadot. I wish you a good month. I guess we see each other in a month from now. Not sure how I'm going to arrange that with all the Denver and Hong Kong stuff and so on, but I guess we're going to figure that out. So until then, I wish all of you a great month and see you soon. Goodbye.